Ministry of Justice data indicates the number of offenders with multiple knife convictions walking free with a suspended sentence has doubled from 543 in 2012 to 1,027 last year. Peter Bleksley joins me now. He's a former Scotland Yard detective. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Really good to talk to you as usual. What do you make of these figures?
Well, these come swiftly on the back of other shocking statistics that showed on average somebody arrested for possession of a knife will not be jailed until their 7th or 8th offence, which is quite frankly mind-boggling. It's not so long ago we had politicians saying 3 strikes and you're out, but clearly those were empty words. None of this is being enforced, and the streets are becoming less and less safe for us.
I mean, yet again, this is another story that undermines confidence in the police, in the judiciary, in the whole system of law.
Absolutely. It's unfathomable that somebody could be stopped, found in possession of a knife, arrested, put into the criminal justice system 7 or 8 times before they get a jail sentence. There is simply no deterrent. And that, of course, would go a long way to justifying or explaining, should I say, why we've got such rampant numbers of crime offences, why people are losing their lives to knife crime, and we are in a very, very dangerous and worrying situation.
Well, absolutely. Well, I'm just looking at the figures here. Knife crime has rocketed 46% in the past decade. There were 49,265 offences involving a knife or a sharp instrument recorded in 2022. You and I also know young people are carrying knives. It's a rite of passage. And clearly, if you don't have a deterrent, this will continue.
Absolutely. And I also accept that many of the reasons that young people carrying knives are complex, absent parenting, exclusion from school, and many other kind of factors. But clearly, agencies need to have some joined-up thinking here. It can't all be the responsibility of the police. Education needs to be involved, social services and others. But we have to tackle that mindset whereby a young person, before they leave home, they go, right, where's my key? Where's my phone? Now I'll grab my knife. Because it's making the streets just horrendously dangerous, particularly in some inner city areas where there is an unacceptable tide of teenage blood flowing through our streets.
Yeah, absolutely, and it ties into this other story. This shocking moment, a thug with a knife lunges at a Tesco worker after trying to shoplift. So essentially, the employee tried to bravely wrestle this man, or wrestle the stolen goods from this man. The chaos at the Bristol supermarket shows Josh James, 33, a career criminal, slashing the weapon at staff before smashing the entrance windows, which you can see happening right there. Again, as you say, I mean, it just feels that this is out of control.
Well, of course, shoplifting has almost been decriminalised now because stores and the police and the Crown Prosecution Service are not prosecuting sufficient people for this crime. There was a ridiculous directive handed down some years ago whereby the police said, we won't get involved if it's a value of goods less than £200. Well, of course, all that did was create a shoplifters charter, and the criminals know this. And in fact, for offences of theft, you won't be jailed until you've committed about 50 offences. What a ludicrous situation we're in. We've surrendered the streets to the criminals. Retail industries are struggling. And quite frankly, the whole policing attitude towards this, together with the entire criminal justice system, needs to be looked at very, very severely.
I've seen it myself, actually, Peter. I've seen people walk into supermarkets and just brazenly walk out with a basket full of goods and actually have no intention of paying whatsoever. Let me just ask you, finally, if I may, about the BBC finally referring this matter about presenter X to the police. What happens now?
Well, as long as there is a complaint made to the police, in other words, an allegation of crime is made to the police, then they will, of course, be duty-bound to investigate that. There's been some rather unclear messaging coming out from the Met Police in recent times. So what I sincerely hope is, if there are suspicions, allegations or evidence to show that a crime has been committed, that that allegation is given to the Met and that they investigate it with all due vigour.
And can I just be very clear on this? The age of consent in this country is 16, but there's additional protection for young people between the ages of 16 and 18.
Yes, there are. And in fact, to ask a young person or to coerce a young person or to force a young person to make an indecent image under the age of 18 is a specific criminal offence.
Peter, thank you for your time. That's Peter Bleksley, their former Scotland Yard detective. What do you make about the knife crime?
I think it shows that you've got a minority of repeat offenders who are causing, a majority of these sort of issues. And really, the Conservatives have talked a lot of action on this kind of stuff. We had Nick Dubois leading a big campaign for a while. There was 3 strikes and you're out, as he was just saying there. And actually, what we've seen is that these people are not being properly prosecuted, and there'll be a lot of calls on the Tory benches for this to be clamped down upon. Yeah,
absolutely. And of course, what message does that send out?
Well, quite. And, people want to see, after sort of 4th, 5th attempt, this isn't just sort of a one-off or someone who's failing to learn the lessons. This is just someone who've got a repeat pattern of behaviour here. And as you say, if they're not going to be sending out a signal on that by dealing with this minority of offenders, then, this is why the whole criminal justice system is now in a place where Tory voters are saying, we don't trust the Tories on this issue.
No, well, I mean, it's extraordinary. In London, I've seen it in supermarkets, including the one near me, where they won't open the self-checkouts because they know, actually, people will just walk off.
Yeah, completely. That's because I think there's failure to prosecute on these issues. And actually, what you've had now is some crimes which are effectively decriminalised in this country due to the lack of prosecution rates over it, because they know nothing's going to go through the courts or be done by the police.